I'm a clinical exercise physiologist and also the provincial lead for the LiveWell program. So basically what that means is my job is to implement the program across Nova Scotia and tell people about it. So I'm really, again, thankful to be here and hope to answer any questions up towards the end. So today I'll talk about the LiveWell program, what it is, where it came from, and how you might be able to benefit from it. So before we get into the program itself, what is a clinical exercise physiologist? They're not very well known here on the East Coast. If you're from out West, you might know what a CEP is. But essentially what I do, or what a CEP does, is we perform assessments and we prescribe exercise and physical activity to apparently healthy, but specifically those who are living with any type of chronic condition. So any type of medical condition, anyone who might have some type of functional limitation or disability that's associated with your musculoskeletal, cardiopulmonary, metabolic, or neuromuscular systems, as well as the negative effects from aging as well. So we differ from a personal trainer because our knowledge and education is like a little bit more extensive, so you need a degree, but also our time in the clinical setting. So for myself, my background is coming from the oncology, so the cancer and cardiac units here in Halifax at the hospitals. And what we've done over the last 4.5 years is do exercise programs and that entail research for these chronic condition populations and seeing how we can improve quality of life using exercise as a tool. And what we found is that after they are in the clinical setting for about 12-15 weeks, and they're kind of left to their own devices, and there's nowhere really in the community for anyone who's managing a chronic condition to exercise safely or to continue their new behavior habits closer to home. And so that's where LiveWell really came from. We've adopted the program and adapted it from LiveWell Hamilton. So over in Ontario, they've been running this program for about 10 years using the YMCAs. And so now it's time to kind of bring it to Nova Scotia and implement it here. So what LiveWell is essentially is exercise programming for adults who are managing a chronic condition or an injury. They could be pre-surgery, post-surgery, or they could really just benefit from some type of exercise programming that is delivered by a qualified exercise professional. And again, the goal is to merge the gap between the clinic and the community. So again, making sure that when people leave the hospital or maybe they're already in the community, there's a safe place for them to exercise where they feel safe and challenged and can progress long term. So LiveWell would not be as successful as it is so far here in Nova Scotia without our partners. So we work closely with some professors from Dalhousie and Acadia, as well as exercise medicine, and make sure that the programs we are offering are through best practices, but also because of the research side of things, which is a little bit boring for you guys, but making sure that we can replicate what's happening in a clinical setting in the community. So we can kind of take people out of the clinic, bring them to the community, and in that way, we can kind of take a little bit of strain from our healthcare system, which we know is a little bit strained here in Nova Scotia. So what exactly is LiveWell and what would it look like if you want to be part of it? So LiveWell itself is individualized exercise program that's delivered in a group setting. And how we do that is we always have an assessment or an intake interview with a new participant before we put them in the class. And we do that because, again, everyone's coming in at different levels with different chronic conditions. And we want to make sure that when you are in that group class, we're able to modify a exercise or prescribe a different exercise for you. So you still feel safe, but still challenged, and that you're progressing over time. And that's the goal long term. The program itself is always supervised from a clinical exercise physiologist, so someone who understands the chronic conditions, medications you might be on, how exercise interacts with that, or vice versa, and making sure, again, you're in well hands. Again, the program is for anyone who's managed a chronic condition, and we have our classes twice a week for about 12 weeks. I'll talk about the duration of the class a bit more in depth later on, but you're exercising about twice a week. And we do the pre-assessments, but we also do a post-program assessment as well. And so around the 12-week mark is when we bring you back in for that interview. We do another functional assessment to kind of see how you progress, so you can also see how you progress over time. And that also makes sure that we're on the right track, we're working towards your goals, and we're working towards a healthy, long-term lifestyle with the program. And after the 12 weeks or so, depending on what you decide to do, we always have support to transition into whether it's another program, whether you do the same program again, or maybe you want to do something that's closer to you because you're not near a YMCA. So why is LiveWell important? So this is more specific to this group. So it's exercise and COPD management is something that's been well studied and well reviewed, and lots of benefits for exercising. So just based off the Canadian respiratory guidelines, regular exercise can benefit everybody, but specifically those who are managing COPD, because with a combination of aerobic training and resistance training, you're able to maximize your endurance as well as your functional capacities. So there's a lot of benefits of exercise for everybody, but some specific to this population would be the biggest one would be reducing your shortness of breath. So as you exercise and your muscles become more efficient so that you can use them a bit more easily, you don't need to use as much breath or as much air to get sufficient oxygen, which in turn would reduce your shortness of breath. With that, you also increase your exercise capacity, and that also helps improve your ability to complete day-to-day tasks. And that's a really big thing with LiveWell. Our goal is to improve overall quality of life for any participant or member who comes into the program. And that's going to look different for everybody. So things like completing your daily activities, so maybe doing your laundry, washing your dishes, going to check your mail, or playing with your grandkids. Those are things that we really put an effort on. And those are some of the goals that we hear that people want to do. It's just your day-to-day tasks that help you maintain your independence or regain it after managing a chronic condition at home. It also decreases your chance of infection, your risks of hospitalization, as well as anxiety and depression has been a big one we found since implementing the LiveWell program. Because we're coming back into person and we've all been kind of isolated through the pandemic, which we all know, that social aspect has been really great for people. There's a sense of accountability when you come into a group setting. If you miss a class, someone might be like, "Oh, Roger, where are you today?" Or "Nancy, where'd you go?" And there's always that nice sense of belonging, which is what the YMCA really is all about, is making sure everyone feels like they belong in the program or in the facility. And if it's not at the YMCA, you feel like you have a sense of belonging wherever the LiveWell program is offered near you. So our phases of LiveWell. So this is where our 12-week program kind of looks a little bit murky. So we kind of say 12 weeks, but really it could be longer or it could be shorter than that, depending on what we decide together as we continue our conversations. So to be in the LiveWell program, we usually receive a referral, and the referral can come from any type of healthcare provider that you might see, but also could be just from you yourself. You think you could benefit from this, and you just contact me and we set up an assessment or a chat to talk a bit more about the program. So you come in for the referral, and then we do that intake assessment, which I mentioned, which is about an hour long to understand who you are, your goals, and how we can help you. And then you're put into a program. And we typically start people in the 10 to 12 week rehab program. And this is where we have our reconditioning classes. So if someone is completely new to exercising, maybe they're coming straight from the clinic or from the somewhere else in the community, and they're just not too sure about exercise, we kind of put them there to get them familiar with exercising, understanding how your body will react to exercising, and understanding just how it all goes. And then from there, once you finish, when you're near your 12 weeks, we do that exit interview as well. And that's where we talk about, what do you want to do? So do you want to redo that reconditioning class because you like the instructor, or you're not too sure if you're ready to take the next step yet? And if you are ready to take that next step, then you go into another program that we offer called Active for Life, or it could be Abilities in Motion, depending on what works best for you. Again, we have these conversations all the time. And then Active for Life is really just a progression from that first step. So maybe you're doing a bit more heavier weight, different types of exercises, moving at a faster pace, whatever it might be. But from there, in Active for Life, we usually see a mixture of chronic conditions versus that reconditioning class, depending on where you are. You might be in a condition-specific class, so maybe you're put into a COPD specific class, or you're rehabbing an injury, you might be in the same class as someone. And we found that really helps create, improve our attendance when you're exercising with someone who has a shared history with you. After you're in the program for some time, again, we're always having the conversations on what do you want to continue doing, what would work best for you to continue long-term. And that could be doing other programs the YMCA has to offer, so things like gentle yoga, aquafit, forever fit, chair yoga, or that might be, maybe you are driving 30 minutes into the YMCA, you don't want to do that anymore. So we find something that's closer to you within your community that you can easily transition to and continue this new lifestyle change, or continue this lifestyle where you're exercising regularly. Because we never again want to just have you fall off Those are some things that we're trying not to do. So we always make sure that there's something for you to go to before you finish with us. So always in constant communication of what's next. So conditions that can be referred, I just put the slide in here really just in case you might have somebody in mind, you're not too sure if they could do the program, but we really accept anybody who might be managing a chronic condition or could benefit from being active. So the list goes on and on. These are just a few, but if you're not too sure, anyone can just contact me and we would be happy to sit down with them. And maybe they do a class, maybe it's just some counseling, maybe we just chat about their options, something that's closer to home. But our goal for the LiveWell program is to help anyone in the community become active safely. So I talked about the referral form and that anyone could refer, or you could refer yourself. We do have a form for healthcare providers if they ask about it, and that's what it is. And what's really neat about this is we want to minimize as many barriers as we can. So I know we understand that retelling your medical history can be a lot. So if your healthcare provider filled this out and they sent it us before you came in, it kind of decreases the having to go back and reiterate exactly what's going on. Some healthcare providers filled out, some people just put your name and email and phone number and we'll call you, and that's completely fine. But we also have a referral through our website, which I'll share with you at the end of the slide or this presentation. So for the LiveWell program here, in Nova Scotia, it's within a YMCA membership. So if you're already a YMCA member, it's included in your membership fees. If you're not a YMCA member, we give you your first 30 days free, and that's followed by just your biweekly or monthly rate, depending on the facility that you go to. And we do that because we want everyone to be a YMCA member from day one. And also because there's the research aspect to it, we give you a little break there for the first 30 days, just for the questionnaires you have to fill out. But also what it means is that you have a YMCA membership. So you don't just have to go to those 2 classes a week. Maybe you like to use a pool or come in on your own and do something. You have a membership, so you're allowed to use that at your own discretion. We also offer financial assistance, and that's a big barrier or big proponent about this class, is we want to minimize as many barriers as possible. The YMCA has always offered financial assistance, but not many people know about it. So that's something we always talk about in that initial intake, is if the membership rate is too high, we make something work, because we never want that to be a barrier to participate in class, especially if we know it's going to positively impact your life. So the LiveWell program itself is offered at a few different various YMCAs and facilities across Nova Scotia currently. So we are at the Lunenburg County YMCA, which is in Bridgewater, Mariners on Main, which is in Yarmouth, if you're there. Shelburne Physiotherapy will be offering classes next month. Downtown Halifax, the JWL YMCA, Pictou, and the Cumberland County YMCA in Amherst also offer these classes as well. And then Cape Breton ideally will be coming in the spring, but I'm not too sure exactly. So stay tuned for that. So I talked about what a class is and time to kind of see what it looks like. So there's a couple of videos here just to give you an idea of what you could be doing in class and what a class might look like. So this first video here is from our Halifax location. Just one of our instructors going through some exercises with some participants who want to be videoed. So everything can be tailored to your abilities and your goals. So one person can be doing one thing, another person can be doing another thing. So we're really making sure we have that individualized aspect to the program. And then just doing some stretches and mobility here as we go. And then go to the next slide here if I can. And then another example here as well. So this is our Bridgewater location, doing some rows and some balance exercises. All the exercises we do are functional, so you can always relate them back to your day-to-day. We find ways to maximize our exercises, and we don't do anything too crazy, so everyone is still safe and feels challenged. And can recreate it at home if they choose to. So you sit down or stand up, and that is all I have for you all today. Here's my phone number and my email in case you have any more questions about the program. You want to reach out, you're not too sure. I'm happy to have a conversation or two to see how we can help you be part of the program.